Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. Little and welcome back to my classroom. Today we're going to continue from our previous video looking at problem solving and looking at some of the foundation aspects of mathematics just to get us going and to make us better at thinking strategically and solving problems. So I've got some activities to show you today, things that you can do very easily at home. Some of the things you'll probably recognise already and you'll probably maybe have already used. So the first activity is something that you've probably all made with your friends. It's called a fortune teller and it's very simply operated. You put your thumbs and fingers in and you can just move it like this. But it has another purpose for us today as well. One of the key focuses in mathematics, I find, is times tables and your multiplications. I think it's so important that children know those really well, have a quick recall on them, so that when they are presented with a problem that's more complex, they've got all the foundations in place. It's a little bit like building a house. If you don't have the foundations, your house isn't going to last very long. So I've got a template here, and I'm going to make a blank template available for you so that you can print and make on your own. But if you know how to fold them yourself from a blank piece of paper, feel free to go ahead and do that. One of the times tables that I find consistently is difficult for children is the 7 times tables, because sometimes there's not a pattern that we can easily spot. So this is the times tables that I thought I would focus on for this particular thing today. I've already folded, I've used my template and I've already folded it to make a times tables fortune teller. This is really good because you can do it by yourself, or you can test your brother or your sister, or check that your mum and dad remember their times tables from when they were at school. I'm sure they still use them today as well. So it can be fun for all the family, and you can do it for all of the times tables. So I'm just going to show you how it works. So you're going to ask whoever you're challenging, or challenge yourself and choose a colour. So I'm going to choose yellow, Y-E-L-L-O-W. And I'm going to choose a number inside. I'm going to choose 7 times 9. So I'm going to count to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I'm going to choose a multiplication to look at. So in here I've got, I'll maybe show you this way, 7 times 7, 7 times 8, 7 times 3, and 7 times 4. Now I'm going to look at 7 times 4, and I think 7 times 4 is 28. But how am I going to check that? You just open up your fortune teller and your answer is there for you. So if you don't get it quite right the first time, you can try and remember that. Oh, okay, I must remember that next time 7 times 4 is 28. You can do it depending on what level you are, whether you're in early years, whether you're in high school. You can choose the times tables that you find tricky and make these for yourself. So that's fun, and you're still learning as well. The second activity I've got is something that children that I've taught in the past have really enjoyed. They like to think of it as a little bit of a competition. So again, when you're bringing fun into things, you forget that you're learning as well. These are called multiplication wheels, and I've got a template here that I've made that I can make available for you. And you can again choose the times tables that you find tricky. So if I find 7 times tables tricky, I could put the 7 here. And then I know that this wheel is focusing on the 7 times tables. This works really well, and I've actually used it as a starter for my maths lessons before, and I used to have a child that always used to ask me, "Oh, miss, please can we play Beat the Teacher?" So what I used to do was I used to have 2 of these and a child up beside me, and we used to try and race to see who could get our times tables done the quickest. And the children really responded to that, and it helped them focus and learn their times tables. So I'm going to look at the 7 times tables here again, just because it's what we looked at before. In the wheel, you've already got the numbers here. These are the numbers that you're going to multiply by 7. So 7 times 11 is 77. I remember that 7 4s are 28 from my fortune teller. And what I would do is I would go around and fill all of these in. If I wasn't sure, I could go back and I could try and figure out the pattern. But the aim of this really is to help you with your quick recall and remember them straight off the bat, so you're not wasting thinking time by trying to add 7 and 7 and 7, because that can take up a lot of time, especially if you're not confident. Learning your times tables will give you a huge amount of confidence, and it'll make you think that you can achieve anything, which is the real goal here and what we want you to be able to do. So that's the second game. It's really, really good fun. You can play this by yourself, you can time yourself. If you have a phone, there's a timer on there. You could ask someone else to time you as well, or you could play alongside a brother or a sister, or test your mum or dad and see who's quicker at their times tables. And I bet you if you beat someone, you're going to feel great about yourself. So that's the second game. The third game is something that I asked you to prepare for last time I was talking to you. What we're going to do today is we're going to use our dice and we're going to use some counters. If you don't have counters, like I said in the last video, you can cut up some paper and colour it, or if you don't have that, you can use some colouring pencils. So this is 100 square. It has our numbers from 1 all the way to 100, and if you can see, the units or the ones all line up. So if you have access to a printer, you can search for one of these on Google and print it very easily. But if you want to practice your number sequencing, you can print a blank one and start to fill in your numbers yourself. And that's going to help you think of the numbers that come before, come after, and come in between. And these are all mathematical technical language that we'll ask you to use when you're at Quest School learning your maths. So this game is something that I suppose I kind of made up myself. One day whenever I saw a child trying to think about how they could improve in their maths. I'm sure I probably didn't reinvent the wheel, but it's something that has really worked in the past and children really enjoy. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to take 2 dice, and I can play this game by myself, or I can play with 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 friends. The more friends you have, the harder the game's going to be, and you'll see why in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake my dice and break them. I've got a 2 and a 3. Now, if I'm really trying to focus on my multiplication, I can decide to multiply these 2 numbers together, which is 2 times 3, which would give me 6. I could add the numbers together if I wanted to make 5, or I could subtract 2 from 3 and that would leave me 1. That choice is mine, but it's great to have that choice as the game goes on. So I think because we've been looking at multiplication today, I'm going to multiply. So 2 times 3 is 6. What I can either do is take one of my counters and cover the 6. Or if I don't have one, I can take a coloured pencil and shade in that number, because that number now belongs to me. If you've got a friend playing with you, you can give them a different colour, just so that at the end of the game you can see how many numbers that you got. So I'm going to roll a couple more times just to show you how the game can become a little bit more tricky. So now I've got a 2 and a 2. I can add them, which would give me 4, and I can multiply them, which would also give me 4. So 4 is the answer, and I'm going to colour it and pretend that my partner is playing this one. Now, if this is a bit easy for you, what you can do is you can introduce a third dice. And this is going to be a 2-step problem. So you're going to have 1 step, and then you're going to do something as a second step. So you roll all 3 dice together, and I've got a 4, and a 2, and a 1. I can use these dice in any order that I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually switch my 1 and my 2 together. I think what I can do, if I multiply 4 times 1, I've already got 4. So I can't take 4 again, I have to think of something else. So what I think I will do is I will add the 2 numbers together, so that would give me 5. But I also have to use my third dice. I can either add 2, I can take away 2, or I can multiply 2. Now because my focus has been on multiplication during this video, I think I'll multiply. So 5 times 2 is 10. So again, I can use my counter to cover my 10, or colour it in. And I'm going to show you that 2-step thing again. Roll my 3 dice, a 2 and another 2, and I've got a 3. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to try and get a higher number this time. I'm going to try and make a number that's higher than 10. So I'm going to challenge myself. And if I feel really confident in my maths, I should be challenging myself. If something's too easy for me, it's not going to teach me anything, and it's not going to be much fun either. So I'm going to add my 2 2's together. So 2 plus 2 is 4, and I'm going to multiply it by 3. So again, this is bringing in the trickier times tables. 3 times 4 is 12. So I can colour in my 12. And as the game goes on, you're going to find it harder to play, and the reason why is because as you go, you're going to be colouring in and using up your numbers. So you're going to become more challenged, and you're going to have to think a lot more creatively as well. I've got some questions for you, and what I'd like to do is to hear from you. I've got a challenge. If I only have 2 dice, what is the biggest number that I can colour on my 100 square? See if you can think about that and challenge yourself to think about that for me. And if you'd like to leave a comment below this video to let me know, I'll be sure to reply to you and tell you if you got it right. Another challenge can be, well, I've got 12, but how could I make the number 30, for example? What could I do? So if this game's too easy, this could be another way you can play it. What dice would I need? Well, I know that 30 is 3 times 10, so if I have a 3 on my dice, what would I need on my other 2 dice in order to make 30? Have a go at this game at home. It is really fun, and you do become quite competitive with it. I have seen children become very competitive in the classroom, and it is so fun, and it's very rewarding as a teacher to see people engaging with their learning. And when you do fun things like this, I mean, maths isn't always fun for some people, but when you do things like this, it is helping you focus, it is helping your foundational skills, and it is helping you learn your times tables so that you can go on to become a really good mathematician and a really good problem solver. Thank you very much again for coming to visit me in my classroom, and I hope to show you more of it as we go along and some of the lovely things that we have planned for our children when we get to. Okay, thank you, take care, bye bye.